Hi boys and girls, this is lesson 7 of module 4. I'm using a different format, so please bear with me if there's any technical difficulties. So it says solve using a tape diagram. 1/4 of 24. So if I draw a tape diagram, this would represent 24. And because it says 1/4, I know that I'm going to have 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I need to figure out how much one of those pieces would be. So if I put 24 into 4 pieces, in other words, 1 square would equal 24 fourths, or 24 divided by 4, which equals 6. So one of these squares is 6. So if I have 1/4, I have 1 square. So 1/4 of 24 is 6. Okay. B, 1/4 of 48. So if I have a tape diagram, that would be the whole rectangle would be 48. And I have 4 pieces, so break that up into 4 pieces. And now I need to know what one piece equals. So I would break 48 into 4 pieces, or 1 square would equal 48 divided by 4, which is 12. Oops, sorry about that. So one piece would be 12. So if I have one of the 4 pieces, or one piece, I would have 12. So 1/4 of 24 is 12. Let's go ahead and look at C. C is 2/3 times 18. Same concept. If I have a tape diagram, and the entire tape diagram is 18, I now have 3 pieces, so I break that up into 3 pieces. And I need to know what 1 square equals, so that would be 18 divided by 3, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. So each one of these is worth 6. And if you add them up, 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 6 is 18, so they should all add up to 18. But I don't have 1 square. This one is now asking me for 2/3, or 2 of these squares. So I can either do 6 plus 6, or I could do 6 times the 2 squares. And both of them actually equal 12. Therefore, 2/3 times 8 is 12. Let's go ahead and look at D. D is 2/6 times 18. So if I have a tape diagram and it is 18, I see my denominator is 6, so that means I have to break this up into 6 pieces. So I'll be breaking 18 up into 6 pieces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now I need to figure out how much one of them is before I can figure anything else out. So if I take my 18 and I divided it by the 6 pieces, that means each one would equal 3. So this one is 3, this one is 3, this one is 3, and so forth. So I actually have 2 of the 6, so I have 2 of them. So I have these 2. So I can do 3 plus 3, which is 2 of those rectangles, or 3 times the 2, because both of these equal 6. Therefore, 2/6 times 18 is 6. Okay. Let's go ahead and go on to E. E is 3/7 times 49. So I need to draw my tape diagram. And this tape diagram would be the total, which is 49. And I would break it up into 7 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I need, again, to figure out how much one of them is. So in order to do that, I would take my 49. Sorry about that. There we go. I would take my 49 and divide it by 7, which gives me 7. And my numerator tells me that I have 3 of the 7s. So I have 1, 2, 3 of them. So I can do 7 plus 7 plus 7, which equals 21. Or I can do 7 times how many squares I have, 1, 2, 3. Or times my numerator, which also equals 21. So 3/7 times 49 is 21. Okay? Let's go ahead and look at F, which is 3/10 times 120. So let me draw my tape diagram. I have 120, and I need to break it up into tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And in order to figure out how much 1 is, I did the same thing. I did 120, and I broke it up into 10, or divided into 10 pieces. And 120 divided by 10, remember base 10, we can quickly do that. 12 divided by 1 is 12. Therefore, each one of these is 12. So if I have 1 is 12, and my numerator is asking me for 3 out of the 10, or 3/10 of it, that would be 12 times 3, which is 36. Therefore, 3/10 times 120 is 36. Okay. Let's look at G. Is 1/3 times 31. So let me draw my tape diagram. And the total is 31. And it wants me to break it up into, if you look at the denominator, 3 pieces. And I need to figure out how much 1 piece is before I can do anything. So because I took my 31 and I divided it into 3 pieces, that means that 31 doesn't really divide evenly into 3 pieces, but it is going to be a fraction. So I need to figure that out. So my fraction is 1 and 1/3. Therefore, one of these is equal to 1. I'm sorry. That is not correct. Again. And I knew that wasn't correct because if I had 3 of them, that would only be 3. Well, actually 4. I need 31. So let's go back. 31 divided by 3. Okay. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Multiply. Gives me 3. 0. Bring down. 1 divided by 3 is 0. There we go. It is 10 and 1/3. That sounds a lot better. And I only need 1 of them, or 1 of the thirds, so therefore my answer is 1/3 times 31 equals 10 and 1/3. Okay, let's look at H. I have 20 as my whole, and I need to break that up into 5 pieces. So technically what I'm doing is I'm doing 20 divided by 5, which is 4. So that means each one of these is 4. And my numerator is telling me that I have 2 of them. So I can do 2 times 4, which gives me 8, or I can just add it twice, 4 plus 4, and that gives me 8. So therefore my answer is 8. Okay, let's go ahead and look at I. I is 1/4 times 25, so let me go ahead and do a tape diagram again. And my whole would be 25, and I'm going to break it up into 4 pieces. So 25, what I did was I did 25 and I divided it by 4, or I broke it up into 4 pieces. Well, I know that 25 is not a multiple of 4, so I'm going to have to do long division. 0. 25 divided by 4 is 5. Nope, 6. So 6 times 4 is 24, and I have a remainder of 1. But I can't have a remainder. So I have to put this into a mixed number. So I have 6, remainder of 1, so that's my numerator. My denominator is 4. Therefore, one of these is 6 and 1/4. So if one of them equals 6 and 1/4, therefore 1 out of 4, 1/4 times 25 equals 6 and 1/4. Okay, let's go ahead and look at J. J is 3/4 times 25. Well, I kind of already did that partial here, so let me bring that back here. I already did 25, and I already broke it up into 4. And so once I broke it up into 4s, I figured out that it was 6 and 1/4. But now if I look at my numerator, it's asking me for 3. So it's not asking me for just 1, but it's asking me for 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. So I can do 6 and 1/4 times 3, which might be a little difficult for you. So 6 and 1/4 plus 6 and 1/4 plus 6 and 1/4. And I know when I do this, I add up all of my whole numbers, which is 6 plus 6, which is 12, plus 6, which is 18. And then I can add up all of my fractions, which is 1/4 plus 1/4, which is 2/4, plus 1/4, which is 3/4. So my answer is 18 and 3/4. Okay, let's go ahead and look at K and L. These are the two that we worked on that kind of you have to go backwards. So I have 3/4 of some number we don't know is 27. So normally what I would do is I would take x and I would divide it by 4 and then multiply it by 3. That's how I get 27. Well, now I got to go backwards. So instead of multiplying by 3, I'm going to take 27 and divide it by 3, which is going to give me 9. And then I would take the 9 and multiply it by my denominator, which is my 4, and that will give me 36. Therefore, what is the number? The number is 36. So I have to work backwards. So the same thing with this one. 2/5 of a number equals 14. So I got to work backwards. So I would do 14 divided by the numerator, which is 7. 7 times the denominator, 5. And my x would be then 35. So what is the number? The number is 35. And the way that I can check this is by going backwards. So if I have 3/4 of 36, okay, normally I would take 36 divided by 4, which gives me 9. 9 times 3 is 27, and there's my number there. And the same thing with L. Okay, now we're looking at word problems. A skating rink sold 66 tickets. So we have 66 tickets. Of these, 2/3 were children's tickets. So therefore, I'm going to write that down just so that I can remember. Two-thirds of 66 tickets were kids. And the rest were adults. They want to know the total number of adult tickets that were sold. So I can do this in one of two ways. If I know that these are kids' tickets, how many were adults? Well, let's look at this right here. 2/3 were kids. So what fraction were adults? Well, 1/3. So 1/3 of 66 are adults. Either way, we can draw a tape diagram. This is 66. Okay, and we know that these are the kids and these are the adults. Okay, so if we took 66 and we divided it by 3, that would be 33. So that means that one of these is 33. Each one of them is 33. So, how many adult tickets did we sell then? I did not do that right. That is not 33. That is 22. Oh, have mercy. That's why you should always show your work. 66 divided by 3. It's 22. I am so sorry. So each one is 22. So, the total number of adult tickets sold. Okay, so the total number of adult tickets sold was 22. Let's go ahead and look at B. A straight angle is split into two smaller angles as shown, right here. The smaller angle, the smaller one here, measures 1/6 of the straight angle. What is the value of angle A? So in order to know this, we would need to know that all the angles, this entire angle, or this entire straight angle, is 180 degrees. And that would be from 4th grade. So if we broke up 180 degrees into, as you can see here, sixths, we need to figure out how much one of them is, because the short angle is 1/6. So that would be 180 divided by 6, which is 30. So if the short angle is 30 and the rest is A, if we took the entire angle, 180, we subtracted the 30, which is this short angle here, right here, we would get 150. Therefore, the value of angle A is 150 degrees. Okay, let's look at the next one. Annabelle and Eric made 17 ounces of pizza dough. They used 5/8 of the dough to make a pizza and used the rest to make calzones. What is the difference between the amount of dough they used to make pizza and the amount of dough that they used to make calzones? Well, first I need to figure out, so here's my pizza dough and it's 17 ounces. And I have 5/8, so I need to break it up into 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 5/8 of it was used for pizza. The rest, which would be 3/8, was used for calzones. So let's first figure out how much one of them is. So that would be 17 divided by 8, which is 2 1/8. So one of these is 2 1/8. So the pizza would be 2 1/8 plus 2 1/8 plus 2 1/8 plus 2 1/8 plus 2 1/8. 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10 5/8. And for the calzones, it would be 2 1/8 plus 2 1/8 plus 2 1/8, which is 2, 4, 6, and 1, 2, 3. So if I wants to know the difference, which means subtract, so we would take 10 5/8 minus 6 3/8, which equals 10 minus 6 plus 5/8 minus 3/8. 10 minus 6 is 4. 5/8 minus 3/8 is 2/8. So 4 and 2/8 is the difference. You can also simplify it to 4 and 1/4. Okay, let's go ahead and look at D. The New York Rangers hockey team won 3/4 of their games last season. If they lost 21 games, how many games did they play the entire season? So they lost 21 games. So we have 3/4. Okay, they won 3/4 games. These are how many games they won. They lost 21 games. Okay, so if I draw a tape diagram, these are all the games, which I don't know. But I know I can break it up into 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. They should all look about the same. Okay? So break it up into 4. They lost 21. So they lost 21 games. But they won 3 out of 4 games. So that would mean that these ones they won, 3 of them, and 1 of them they lost. A little sad face because they lost it. So that would mean this one game that they lost would only be 1 square because that's the only one that's left. So they want to know how many games they played the entire season. Well, if 1 square is 21, that means each one of these is 21. So we just have to add them all up. That's 2, 4, 6, 80. 1, 2, 3, 4. 84. They played a total of 84 games. The New York Rangers played 84 games.